So creativity, more creative, and productivity, more productive, right? And that's it, right? So, I
Nice.
mean, it's an assistant. I mean, that's the first wave of AI, it's assistants, right? Now, what we've seen is the agentic AI world is moving probably a lot faster than we think. But again, it's what you see and then how you bring that into an enterprise framework and how you deploy that. It's a different world.
This series of episodes was recorded live at Digital Construction Week 2025 at the Excel in London. I got the privilege of interviewing some amazing people that are shaping the future of the built environment through the technology that organizations are developing and delivering now and for the future. Although this podcast was worth the entry fee alone, let's admit it, now is the time to register your interest for next year's Digital Construction Week 2026. But if, like me, you can't wait until next year, check out Digital Construction North on the 19th of November. The links to both events, as always, are in the show notes. But just before we go live with this week's episode, here's a brief intro to the topic we cover and today's guest. It hasn't been that long since it was a buzzword we were told we should all be concerned about as it would take our jobs. Yet now artificial intelligence is no longer a future concept in the built environment. It's an active force reshaping how buildings are designed, constructed, and maintained. As the AECO sector faces growing pressure to deliver faster, smarter, and more sustainably, AI is becoming a key enabler of change, offering new possibilities in automation, insight, and decision making. It's time to discuss how with someone who knows how. Charles Sheridan is the Chief AI and Data Officer and leads the Global AI Innovation Hub for Nemetschek, driving the seamless integration of AI technologies across the company's diverse portfolio of software, as well as deploying the internal adoption of AI. Over more than 25 years, Charles has gained international industry experience focused on addressing critical technology challenges in the cyber-physical world. Before joining the company, he held key roles at large tech companies, including Google, Intel, and Hawaii, where he spearheaded the development of next-generation cloud, AI, data, and Internet of Things solutions. Charlie, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks, Peter. Great to be here.
Fantastic. Right, let's start as we always do because we're live from Digital Construction Week.
Exciting.
I know it is. It's second day, so which is really cool. Loads of stuff going on, which is brilliant. But I want to focus on yourself.
Sure.
Can you just, for the listeners, introduce yourself and tell us what you're doing here at Digital Construction Week?
Sure. So my name is Charlie Sheridan. I am the AI and Data Chief Officer with the Nemetschek Group. And Nemetschek has got some very exciting product portfolios. And what I'm doing here is basically representing Nemetschek. Actually, we did a very interesting fireside chat yesterday on the main stage, which was pretty cool. We talked about the disruptive elements of AI. We had a guy from Google with us.
Nice.
We had an architect. So we talked about the ethics and all related to that. It was pretty cool. So yeah, I'm spending a lot of time talking to our customers here.
Good.
I'm really trying to understand, what they think and what they perceive AI should be in the future, and walking around and meeting lots of interesting people and having some great conversations. It's a super event.
Yeah.
Super event. Very
absolutely.
impressed. This is my second year and I'm only with Nemetschek a year. So construction is a new area to me.
Oh, cool.
So this is, it's exciting.
Yeah, fantastic. Complete side note, I cannot pinpoint your accent.
Oh, my accent's 100% Irish. Born and bred, but have traveled internationally for years.
Yeah.
So I lived in the States for a long time. I worked with Intel for many years. I spent time in Arizona. I spent time in Oregon, California. So I've traveled extensively. Actually, then lived in Germany for 2 years with Huawei and Google Cloud also. So My accent's very mixed up.
Yeah.
But 100% Irish born and bred. And
But
proud of it, of course.
100%. But when you say the word Irish, it comes right through. Takes you back.
Yeah, it does.
Right,
does.
let's get into
Sure.
this. I'm going to start at the deep end, to be honest.
Yeah, go for it.
So how are you using Nemetschek's AI Innovation Hub as an accelerator for digital transformation across the industry?
Yeah. So basically, as I said, I joined Nemetschek a year ago, actually May last year, and there was no AI Innovation Hub. There was no data hub. So my job was basically to set that up for the company. So it's been an exciting year, and really the role, there's two parts that are important, right? So one is to infuse AI into our product portfolios, and that's the reason the hub exists, right? It's really to look at where the industry is going, look at the trends that we're seeing in AI, which is amazing. I mean, the adoption, I was looking at a stat yesterday, ChatGPT in 17 months has 800 million active users weekly.
Wow.
So think about that, right? So, I mean, Nemetschek, like all companies and all industries, right, are looking at, this trend of AI, and we're all trying to get our head around it and see how that's going to affect our products in the future. So my role is basically to bring the AI technology. And look, I've spent a lot of time I've been in AI for 25, 30 years, right? It's not new, right?
Yeah,
so I think a lot of people need to
yeah.
remember that, right? It's like obviously what's happened in the acceleration with large language models, it's generative AI. I mean, it's truly groundbreaking.
Yeah.
And it's probably the most disruptive technology since the birth of the internet, for sure. And now I think all companies, all industries are trying to figure out how do we get our head around this. And that's my role in Nemetschek, really, is to try and understand this technology inflection point, try and understand how that's going to affect our products going forward. And, no doubt it will, right? So we're trying to get ahead of the curve in Nemetschek. And that's what I have a great team, PhD, machine learning, AI experts, developers, and all that has been set up in the last year. And really, we announced a couple of things, right? So with Nemetschek, because Nemetschek is a portfolio of companies, it's even more challenging, right? Because you're not dealing with one company. You're dealing with 14 companies, maybe 60 different product SKUs. So how do you infuse AI into that? So in January, we launched our AI intelligence layer. So what we're doing is building a backbone of AI services, which our groups, our products can basically plug into.
Yeah.
And tomorrow or today, actually, we're officially launching our AI assistant with Graphisoft, Vectorworks, and others. So we're starting to build out that portfolio of AI services. But first, we've been, focusing on how do we build that backbone of products, and that's important, right? We're collaborating very closely with Google on this and their latest Gemini technology, to bring this to life. So that's the real. We're in the weeds.
So you've got that architecture, that underlying AI that you focused on, and then everything's going to plug into that.
Correct.
Which makes perfect sense. I've got to ask: is there big, like you say, you've been in AI for many, many years. Is there a difference, be it subtle or drastic, from your perspective of AI as you see it, and very much the backbone, and like I say, been in it for a lot of years, and what let's class the general public are seeing? Because I subscribe to a number of emails, and every single day it's like, this has been developed, this has changed, this is updated, Gemini have done this.
That's the challenge. I mean, honestly, it's very difficult that's one of the key problems I think everybody's struggling with from a technology platform perspective. It's moving so fast. I mean, it is moving at a speed that I've never seen before, right? I mean, it really is incredible. And the challenge is, where do you, which horse do you back, right? I mean, and I think you have to be open. You have to build your architecture in such a way that in 3 months' time, Model X is going to be outperforming the current model by 1,000%. And that's what's happening. And it's happening at such a key rate. So I think, my advice for anybody building anything out there, it's really, flexibility, be open to working with everybody. It's a challenging environment, but it's the speed and the pace of what we're doing. And it also affects everybody, right? So, you have it in your, we've had Gmail has had AI features for many, many years, right? But now we're talking, generative AI, where like I'm actually looking at rebuilding my house, and I'm just going in and playing online with, using ChatGPT or Gemini, like I took a picture of my house, I uploaded it, and then I put in a couple of designs. I showed it to my wife, and she's like, "Isn't that what the architect's supposed to do?" I'm like, "Yeah, but this is the starting point. It's giving us ideas, right?" And then you take that, it speeds up the whole process, right? And then you take that to the architect, and I say, "Okay, what do you think of this?" And he's going, "That's okay, but this is what I would do." And then he'll do it better. So it's an incredible piece of technology. And the thing is, it's in the hands of everybody.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, from an enterprise perspective, that's a different ballgame, right? Because it has to be secure. It has to, it has to fit in with your product.
Yeah.
There's a lot of challenges there for sure. And you have to protect your data, right? I mean, I think the data piece is very important here with enterprise AI, right? I mean, when you're doing this as part of your products, it's your data, it's your IP, and that's one of the things that we're very strong on. I mean, we've set up an ethical AI board.
Okay.
In Nemetschek, we've 6 ethical AI principles that we adhere to, and I think that's very important because a lot of people are nervous, right? It's like, oh, is AI going to replace my job? Of architects see generative AI, but it's not anywhere in the near short term.
Yeah,
it's not. I mean,
absolutely.
it's the generative AI aspects that we see today that are most prolific and disruptive are areas where there's a lot of data and it's easy to work with that data. But I mean, if you're an architect, you're working on BIM models, geometric drawings, 3D, that's not the space that the LLMs are currently in. But, who knows in the future, as we say, this thing is moving at such a pace.
It's so easy to fall into that trap as well of looking at what's out there and thinking, well, it can do practically anything.
Yeah.
And which it can, it's developing, but yeah, I'm still a strong believer of having that human intelligence.
Oh, absolutely. We have this tagline. It's, make people more creative. So creativity more creative and productivity more productive, right? And that's it, right? So,
Nice.
I mean, it's an assistant.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the first wave of AI, it's assistants, right? Now, what we've seen is the agentic AI world is moving probably a lot faster than we think. But again, it's what you see and then how you bring that into an enterprise framework and how you deploy that. It's a different world.
Yeah. Okay.
For sure.
So let's stick on that then. And how is the integration of AI being used in the building life cycle to enhance, and you mentioned it just then, creativity, efficiency, and user experience?
Yeah. Well, I'd say creativity and user experience, you can bring them together, right? So, I mean, the classic example, and we've launched AI Visualizer with Vectorworks and Graphisoft, 2 of our key products. It's really generative AI. It's that example. I mean, the ability to actually quickly render and make some, fast changes. I mean, within seconds, it's incredible. And do it through a prompt.
Yeah.
I mean, that's unheard of, right? I mean, a year or 2 years ago, it's impossible.
No code.
No code. I mean, low code, no code. And then, I mean, that's the key thing, right? So I think one of the things I think is quite interesting when I come from the industry, outside the industry and looking in, and I look at the UX of an architect, that what they have to deal with, in our own products and others, it's extremely complex. So that's why we're launching today the AI Assistant, right? Because it's a quick way of onboarding people and finding if you're not familiar with the product or you're trying to use these products, they are quite complex. So I think having the AI assistant in there is a really quick way of onboarding. It automatically makes people more productive. You get to find the answer straight away because we've trained it on all our internal data. So we use the baseline LLM, and then we have a corpus of huge, user manual specs, videos. It's all there, and that's the beauty. It can all just be brought together with the baseline LLM. So creativity and UX, I think the generative AI aspect sort of ticks those boxes. Productivity, then I think you're into, the assistant is one, right? Because it makes your time much more efficient.
Okay.
And you'll see that. But I think the real big breakthroughs, I mean, there's lots of complex workflows in our world, right? From design through to build, through to operations. And that sort of, that digital thread, it's tricky, right? I mean, digital twins are trying to encompass all of that. But I think with agent-based technology, where you can deploy agents to actually run some of, these workloads and try and do a better job in managing the data, I think that's going to be the next big inflection point. But I don't think nobody's there yet, right?
Yeah, for sure.
But it's the opportunity, I think, where you can have like really strong interoperable workflows where you're using AI to just take away all that complexity of the data challenge. I mean, this is what people forget. I mean, you need good data as well for AI, right? I mean,
Of course, yeah.
it's critical, and our industry is built on data, BIM models, different standards. People are using IFSC, Revit. It's how you bring all that together. I think actually LLMs and AI can really help make that a lot easier for the industry. But that's the next phase.
Okay. So I just want to take a step back, because
Sure.
one thing you mentioned there in your previous answer was the ethics. And it's really refreshing to hear somebody say that was like, number one, we need these elements in place before we even look at any kind of AI. Because if you look at tech throughout the ages, it's always been the technology, be it the internet, be it social media, be it emails, or whatever, and then the rules and regs come into place. So just talk us through that ethics and
no, it's
how that
very
works.
important. So I mean, our company is very strong on that, right? So I mean, we're just like the concerns that we hear from, let's say, our architects, for example. I mean, these guys and girls, they're super creative people, right? I mean, and they pride themselves on that. And their data, their design is it's their design, right? I mean, Norman Cook is a certain way of doing architecture.
Okay.
You can see that, right? So that is their IP. So none of that should be used in any of the training of models. That's just a key example. And that's one of the challenges, right? I mean, essentially LLMs are trained off the data that's available on the internet, whether you don't even know it or not, right? I mean, your data's there because you've probably ticked a box somewhere in the agreement on whatever, Facebook or Meta, and you just don't know, right? I mean, and that's the reality. And I think, so for us, that principle around ethics and AI is super, super strong, right? And I think in Europe, we do a good job, right? Because we also have the EU AI Act, which we all have to, anybody that deploys software has to comply with the EU AI Act. But what we're doing is we're setting up an ethics board internally. And we're also setting up an external AI governance board so that we're going to get a couple of experts from industry, law, even that come and basically take a look at what we're doing. So,
nice.
Twice a year we'll have this external ethics AI board that will essentially oversee our ethics charter. So that's a super important part of what we're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I say, it's really refreshing. But let's move away from the ethics then and focus on this AI assistant. Which seems to be something that's maybe not a game changer, but it's certainly going to help your clients and people in the industry. So how's it going to help reshape what your clients do, collaboration, decision-making, workflows, and
I think the first thing is really just to get people onboarded faster and let them find answers, right? So if they're struggling with a certain task, so the way we look at it, phase one is passive. So essentially it'll be voice prompted or text prompt, hey, I need to tell me how do I do this, or, how do I basically move these windows over here in that way. So there will be more, it'll help on automation of tasks. Okay. So that will immediately make you more productive. So you'll get an immediate productivity benefit by having that ability to automate some of the tasks that are in there. And then the next step that we're looking at, and this is where it gets into the real fun stuff of AI, where it can become predictive, right? So you're working in a certain way and it's going, hey, I would recommend based on what I've seen, maybe you should think about this, right? So then we can start getting into more of the predictive AI where it can help essentially predict your next task, or maybe you can program it to automate some of those tasks. And then we're into the agentic world. So we see that we start small and then we gradually build, and then we learn. Our customers will tell us, what works and what doesn't work quite quickly. Yeah. So I think that user feedback for us is super important as well.
That's the thing that seems to be coming through this year more than anything at Digital Construction Week, is that the users is where it all starts and ends. And I know that sounds obvious, and it always has and always will be. Being a marketer, that's kind of, it's my bread and butter. But most people that I've interviewed have said it is all about talking to the user and understanding what their problem is. And that's quite refreshing to hear.
Yeah, I think so. It's super important. I mean, at the end of the day, the customers buy our products, right? Yeah. So we need to, and I do think there's a great opportunity to help them as well, right? So I think there's a lot of mundane tasks in our business, in construction and in architecture that AI is set up for. I mean, the first wave of AI really for us, I think, is around automation of tasks.
Yeah.
It's like, for example, that idea of using generative AI to quickly bring up a building, change the render stuff. I mean, that automatically speeds up the design process.
Oh, absolutely.
So then the architect can move into more of the harder tasks, right? And
Yeah,
use
we'll leave
their
them to do that.
creativity and that's it. And then there's a lot of other stuff. I mean, if you're, building a hospital or a school or something, I mean, there's lots of repetitive type tasks, right? That I think AI can definitely take on board in the future.
So just going back to how your clients are going to use it, obviously, if they're using this AI assistant, they're going to be asking it things. It's going to be churning things out. Is that fully bespoke to them and that's secured, or is there learning for your organization that's then deployed in the larger assistant?
Yeah, I mean, the way we work is, I mean, everything's been built off the generic LLM models because nobody can afford that, right? I mean, let's be honest.
Yeah, for sure, yeah.
It's billions of dollars. Okay, if we believe DeepSeek, it's 5 million, but it's still like way above what anybody else is going to do, right? So, no, the way that we do it is you basically have the baseline LLM model. You then have all of our data, so all of our manuals and all of this type of stuff, right? And we use that essentially as the training corpus, and that's the reference point. But then as you upload your own data and you start querying, hey, in this BIM model, I want to make this change, or can you show me what this looks? Then you're using your own data, but it's your data is your data. It's your IP. It's back to the privacy piece. So it's your data. It's in your own environment. We're just providing a service, right? That's going to be a cloud-based assistant. That's it.
Okay.
So we separate the user customer data from our infrastructure data.
Yeah.
That's key.
Yeah, absolutely. It goes back to ethics.
Yep. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay. So I've asked everybody this question to finish off.
Sure.
10th anniversary of Digital Construction Week this year. Where are we going to be in the next 10 years?
Wow. That's really a tricky question.
Yeah, we've got a few hours, so take your time.
It's like, where are we going to be? I don't know. Well, I'm only a year into this, so I don't know what the previous 10 years was. But I mean, honestly, I just see the way that the last 2 years, I mean, this is an interesting theoretical piece, right? When I'll look at it through the AI lens. It's like, we're in this massive hockey stick acceleration. The question is, does that keep going? Or does it sort of slow down, right? I mean, that's the big theoretical question, right? I mean, if you believe there's two camps in that, right? I mean, we're going to reach AGI by 2027. I mean, if that's true, then
who knows?
Who knows what? I mean, it's going to disrupt not just this industry, but every industry. But I think if you look back probably 10 years ago, like drones, there might have been one little drone. I love drones, but I mean, if you look at it now, it's incredible. I love walking through that drone section. So it's really hard to say. But I mean, all I can say is if it really is, if we believe and what I've seen over the last 2 years continues that trend, then I think you're going to see a very, very different world in here in 10 years.
Yeah.
It's going to be AI dominated for sure. I mean, every product will be heavily, heavily impacted and influenced by AI, and there'll be probably new groups, new products, new companies that we never thought of, right?
Yeah, that's the
big one, right?
That's the exciting thing.
Yeah.
You look 10 years previous, and like you say, there probably wasn't even a drone here. Yeah. And now it's par for the course, and a lot of tech here as well. And I think it'll get to the stage where we'll look back, and we probably already are, but we'll look back and go, how did we even do this? That it took so long to do this thing.
I know, it's crazy. But actually, I think if I leave with one thing, and it's really the sort of drone has triggered it, right? I mean, if you look at what's happening now, this convergence with generative AI and robotics, where it's so easy to program robots, that could be the big inflection point. You could be sitting here in 10 years' time, and this place could be, a massive amount of robotic type.
Okay. For sure.
I think that could be if there's one big thing that I would bet on, I think it's that.
And you look at how that could impact an
Construction,
event
everything,
as such, not even in construction, but just if you just take this whole things that are moving around that need to be built, the standardized things, you know, you look at the framework here, it's all pretty generic.
Deploy the robots.
Yeah, exactly.
And away they go and
it's
do it all for you.
It's all
modular.
all modular. So press a button.
Yeah. No, I think that could be the big one in 10 years if we're sitting here. Because AI is accelerating robotics at a phenomenal rate. It's just making it much easier to program the robots. And then I think with AI, then you'll get more advances in design and simulation, and that's where it gets super interesting. Yeah. That's the one. I'll leave it with that.
Okay, fantastic. Charlie, thank you so much for joining me today. Absolutely fascinating. I'll bring you back in 10 years and we'll see what's going on. But it's been a pleasure.
Thank you.